So with AI being all of the talk, and we're seeing it more and more pop into the Adobe software, and Lightroom's just dropped an interesting one that enhances some more of the AI stuff within their masks. And in this case, it is the landscapes. So previously we've got person masking, where you can highlight a person by just saying select person, and it will bring up all of these masks as the features, which is really cool. And especially if you do a lot of portrait stuff, it creates those masks, which can take a lot of time to do manually. Now they've introduced a landscape one, which is fantastic for photographers like myself who like to do a lot of landscape stuff, but how good is it? So I've had to play around on a few photos just to kind of capture actually how accurate is this here. Now, if we take a photo such as this, and let's just see what this new feature is like. We go into our mask section along the side here, and we can see we now have landscape to select. Whereas previously we can see at the top, we do still have sky, and we had background as well. So if we select the landscape button, it's going to think about it and hopefully mask some things out. Now, what's interesting about this is it's slightly different depending on the photo, which is, I think, quite cool. It's not giving you a full list and you go through it. It's just picking out what it can see. So as we go through this, we can see we have sky, mountains, and water, which I would say is fairly accurate, but this is also a simpler photo. So let's select, for instance, the sky. Now this is very similar to us actually just going through the sky selection, so no real difference here. But if we wanted mountains as well, you can see that we can actually create two separate masks, so we could just select all the things that we want. So let's go down them and let's select all three of the masks it's found, and we'll go on create 3 separate masks and hit create there. And you can see down the side now we have those 3. So already that's quite cool, speeds up the workflow a bit if I see some masks that work, in this case all 3 of these. So let's click and select the sky one at the top. And let's do the usual kind of tricks, which is we'll pull highlights down. There's not a lot in this sky anyway, but highlights and pulling a bit of haze in can sometimes bring out some of those details. Now, if we just go a little bit extreme there, you can see that's a nice mask. Now I might go down onto the mountains and do a similar thing, because those quite faded and I want to get a little bit more contrast in there. So we all know what we can do with masks. There's so many different things. And if you're not using masks at the minute in your editing, I would highly recommend you abandon that practice and do a lot of masks. It really improves your photos, takes them away from just applying presets, and it can just introduce a lot of light, a lot of atmosphere, a lot of depth, really focusing on your composition. Masking should never be avoided. So we can see we've got that one there, and let's do one last one down on the water. And I think for this, to show you again, all the different things we could do with masking, but let's make it a bit blue. So I'm just gonna pull the temperature down. So straight away, look at that. We've taken a bit of a flat image, thrown a couple of quick masks over, boom, it's done something pretty good. Now, a little trick that you can do with any of your masks really, and let's say these are quite harsh and it's not quite selected what we want. If we take our water mask here, and we can see that it's not quite gone, we can go up on here, click the mask, and you can see we have a plus or a minus. So if I go to plus and I select brush, this is now going to allow me, if I do a stroke there, to add more to the masks. So you're not stuck with what you just see and what Lightroom's AI thinks is water. So I can go over the top of this with my brush, select that again. I can change the sizes, and I can, run along this water and just fill in those extra bits it's missed. And this is where you don't want to rely fully on the AI and just make the masks. If you're after creating a really good edit and a good photo, you want to go that extra mile with these details. So don't just rely on what the masks has done. Go a little bit extra and make it perfect, make it a great edit. Show it some love to your photos. So equally can be said if we go up top here and we have the sky, for example. Now we've shown how we can brush it into things, and we see the sky it's leaking over the mountains a bit, but another challenge is if I do edit these quite a lot, you see we still get like harsh lines and things. So something we can do then is intersect with these masks. So let's say we've used that AI to create a sky mask, and we've done some edits on that. Now if I right click with that and go intersect, and this time let's take a linear gradient, and then I'm going to basically draw that linear gradient over the top of this. Now you can see what the fun thing is there. If I swing it around in the circle, you are basically telling how much of this mask we want to affect. So let's say we've reduced the dehaze and we want it a bit darker at the top. Well, if I create a linear mask, and because I've intersected with it now, and if I raise this up, you can see it reduces the impact of our original mask. Now this is really effective with these AI type masks, where it's created a sky one. It's not quite perfect. We don't want it to cross over in the mountains too much. So let's say we just want to darken down the top bit of the sky. I'll place it about here. And you can see with the red sort of selection, actually it's not affecting too much down here. Now it's not just linear, you can intersect with the brush with any of these, but now the cool thing is if I go back over here and let's say I reduce my exposure, you can see how it really just sort of darkens down that stormy bit of the sky, but it's leaving those mountains alone. So this is again another way that you can speed up your workflow, but if these masks aren't quite right, intersecting with them can just give you a different option of how to use it. Ultimately, AI tools and all of this for me, it is just speeding up your workflow. So let's try a different photo then and really test and see what this happens. So we've got this photo here and we've done the same selection, landscape mask options. It's thought about it and it's tried to pick out different things. Now this time you can see there's more in the image. We have architecture structures going all the way through here. We have some people down here as well. So it's interesting to see what's it going to do. Well, we've got our usual sky. It's created mountains for us, but actually at a look of this, it's picked out this entire slope here as a mountain, which technically, yes, it is a mountain, but also the background as well. We got artificial ground and architecture, which is quite cool and is not a bad mask, that one. But then we have natural ground at the bottom here. And this is quite an interesting one because our natural ground and our mountains are crossing over into each other. So you can argue that, well, it's not quite mountains here. So if we did have mountains in the background, again, you've seen how limitations start to come into this, where it's picking out what it thinks as mountains, but is not what you want to edit necessarily as a mountain. So this is where it can fall down. And I think when you're using any of these masks, it's not just to take it, as you saw in the previous example, exactly what you see. You need to go in and still do that further bit of editing, but it still improves your selections so much more. And, you know, the time we might have spent, if we take this architecture one, let's create a mask on that, the time we would have spent before sort of going through brush stroke painting, you know, all of these little things in, this has saved a lot of time. Now we've just got to go in and add to it and edit. So you can see we've missed out a little bit there. So I would do my same trick again, just go and find a brush and then just go over any of these bits I think, you know, it's missed on the mask. So whilst we're not quite getting these perfect selections, it's still improving our workflow. And this is still, you know, a bit of a game changer for landscape photographers here. Maybe there'll be improvements. Maybe once it's been out for a while and people have fed back on it, we will see more improvements to how it detects and creates these masks in the future, which would be fantastic. But even just as a first point, it's really cool to see how AI is starting to be used in this time of photography editing. So yes, you see again, building's been used here. Still there's a little bit of overbits, so I will have to spend time editing these masks. But let me know what you think if you've tried this tool already. If you found similar things where it works well on some photos, not on others. If you found any common ground yourself where you think it doesn't quite pick up this very well yet. Like anything with photo editing, I'll make the point again that I've been driving throughout this image, is that these are not shortcuts to editing necessarily. These are improvements to your workflow, to speed up your workflow. For me, it's not necessarily replacing my editing and what I do, it's just speeding up the workflow, which is great because it saves us time. Part of the fun of photo editing is creating these masks, and it's making those creative decisions as you go through it, putting presets over, tweaking and altering. You know, this is the fun bit of photo editing, and you come away with something quite unique to yourself, you know, rather than just applying one kind of thing over the top and then leaving it. Like, no, you want to always go into further details. Every photo is slightly different. You want to be doing those extra bits of details to your edit and really making it your own. So whilst I know I sell presets myself, and now is a good time to say you can grab all of those down below on the website. You can also get some free packs for yourself too, even when you're using those. And when I use it for people's presets too, it's a starting point, you know, it's that speeding up of the workflow. What you do with it after that is all of this side. You'll see a lot of creators at the minute also still, you know, pushing that adaptive color. You know, if we go onto there and we use the adaptive color, this again is interesting. If you've not used the adapted color yet, it can give you some really good results, some interesting results. But is it going to replace my editing? No, not really, because as you can see, once again, it's giving you like a starting point. It's not actually moving these sliders that you see down here. So you have very limited capabilities apart from just applying how much you've got over the top of it there. We can go in and we can look at the different ones that we have. But yeah, if I apply an adapted color, adapted black and white over the top, let's go for like this, a modern type vibe, it still means I have to go in and I have to choose edits and I have to edit what's over the top. So let me know as well, adaptive colors, that's something you're using quite a lot at the minute in your workflow? Is it something you've just kind of ignored? What are you doing with it at the minute? For me, it's not something I've played around too much with because I think, again, it's taking the fun out of photo editing a bit. But also, I'm not keen on the fact that when I do apply it, sometimes I get good results, sometimes I don't. But I've still got to go in and do a lot of edits and make it myself. Let me know in the comments below, are you using either of these two features yet, and how are you finding them? Otherwise, subscribe, do all the usual, and I'll see you in the next one.